Some people really just don't like their jobs. They might do the bare minimum or break a few harmless rules on the side, steal some office supplies, make some personal copies. That is stealing, by the way, if you were wondering. I'm sure none of you have ever done that. And when you left a job, did you do anything not so nice to your former employer? Well, in the case of, I'm just going to say, wildly struggling Nicholas Mitchell, he really took hating his former employer and also hating strangers, apparently, to a whole new level.
Welcome to Capers and Cocktails, true crime that doesn't take itself too seriously and obviously gives you something to enjoy while you listen. The following content may be disturbing to some. Discretion is advised. If you're enjoying one of our themed cocktails, ensure you're of legal drinking age and have fun, but drink responsibly.
A Negroni is a worldwide famous aperitif. Aperitifs are small drinks to be had before a meal to help stimulate the appetite, as if I have ever needed to stimulate my appetite for a meal ever. Okay. There are some generally conflicting stories about the origins of the Negroni. Some say the inventor and namesake is Count Camillo Negroni, a banker, cowboy, and prominent riverboat gambler who immigrated to the United States through Ellis Island in 1892. Another claim gives the inventing and naming rights to General Pascal Olivier de Negroni de Cardi, a guy with a very long name and also a decorated veteran of the Franco-Prussian War. But truth be told, no record of the Negroni in its current form existed until the 1950s. So they both can have it. Why not? All right, so like I said last week, these drinks are not the same at all. I could not replicate the flavors no matter how hard I tried. So instead, I attempted to create my own non-alcoholic aperitif. For the cocktail, you'll need gin, vermouth rosso, red vermouth, and campari or some sort of equivalent. For the NOgroni, we're going to use pomegranate syrup, pear juice, lemon juice, and water. The cocktail is very simple. You'll take 1 part gin, 1 part of that vermouth rosso, and 1 part campari and put it into your shaker. You'll shake it and you'll strain over fresh ice. For the NOgroni, you'll take 1/2 part pomegranate syrup, 1 part pear juice, 1/2 part lemon juice, and 2 parts still water. Put all of that into the shaker, shake it up, and strain over fresh ice. We use the still water because the Negroni is not sparkling at all, so we needed something to thin out all the sweetnesses of those things in the NOgroni, so we're just going to add some water. Both of these are enjoyed as a small drink before the meal. Apparently, you can have it hot or cold. I think it sounds gross if it's hot, but up to you. Portland Pie Company calls itself Maine's original craft pizza maker. They were founded in 1997 in Portland, Maine. Evidently, their dough has a signature flavor that includes basil, garlic, wheat, obviously, and beer. Interesting. They have 5 in-person locations with a variety of craft beer on tap. In 2009, Portland Pie Company began selling its signature pie dough frozen through an offshoot company called It'll Be Pizza. They sell wholesale to Northeast companies like Cisco Boston and retail in 6 grocery store chains, including Hannaford Supermarkets. Hannaford Supermarkets is a supermarket chain based in Scarborough, Maine that was founded in, get this, 1883. It's been around. Today, stores can be found in Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and New York. But this isn't the story of craft pizza dough, grocery stores, and beer on tap. Okay, it is the story about 2 of them. On October 6, 2020, in Saco, Maine, a customer bought some of the Portland Pie Company's famous pizza dough. When they got home, they opened the package, and they discovered something horrifying. Several razor blades had been inserted into the pizza dough. Upon hearing about this, the store did the logical first move. They checked the cameras. Upon review of the store security surveillance footage, they saw someone open a freezer and put something into pizza dough. Not the smoothest criminal. They notified authorities, who immediately released a physical description of the suspect and a description of his car. He was arrested within 2 hours in Dover, New Hampshire, about 50 miles away. This, as you can probably imagine, sent a lot of people into a panic. Hannaford Supermarkets released a recall on October 11th of all Portland Pie Company dough and cheese. The statement read, quote, "After what is believed to be further malicious tampering incidents involving metal objects inserted into Portland Pie products, Hannaford has removed all Portland Pie products from all store shelves and has paused replenishment of the products indefinitely," end quote. In addition, at least one other Northeast grocery store chain, Shaw's and Stars Market, also removed the pizza dough from their freezers. Customers were urged to check their freezers for any pie dough and cheese. Through that, at least 2 other customers discovered screws and razor blades implanted in their future pizzas. Razor blades and other small metal objects would be found in Portland Pie Company dough in Dover as well as in Sanford, New Hampshire. Upon investigation of products remaining on the shelves, an employee of Hannaford also found a tampered-with hunk of dough in the freezer still. Luckily, no one was injured, thanks to the first person who checked their pizza a lot more closely than I probably would have before taking a bite. Jeff Perkins, the owner of Portland Pie Company, released a statement that said, in part, quote, "It'll Be Pizza sells dough balls under the Portland Pie Company brand in retail locations throughout the Northeast. This incident has no direct connection to Portland Pie Company restaurants or to any of our menu items. The suspect was an ex-employee of It'll Be Pizza. It'll Be Pizza has been working closely with law enforcement and its retail supermarket partners," end quote. Woof. Talk about some damage control. So what happened? Nicholas Mitchell, a man going through some stuff, got fired from It'll Be Pizza in June 2020 after frequent tardiness and being absent. He was on a downward spiral, frankly, like a lot of us, since the pandemic had begun in early 2020. According to his lawyer, he had suffered from mental health and substance abuse issues his entire life and had an arrest in April of 2020 for domestic violence and probation violation. At the time he was fired, he was unhoused. According to his attorney, quote, "He went from living the American dream to living in his car," end quote. And he did not take being fired very well. He formulated a half-cocked plan to, according to him, not harm anyone, but, quote, "to disrupt my former employer's bottom line." And that part at least worked. From October 2020 to November 2020, pizza dough sales plunged by 82%, while in-store pizza sales fell by 89%. And remember what Jeff said, they weren't even involved. The estimates of what it cost that company, $230,000. And that doesn't even count the emotional distress of no longer wanting to eat the best food on the planet because you're afraid you'll get a little sharp-ass hunk of metal on the side. Side note, is it pleaded or pled? My Google always autocorrects it to pleaded. We'll try pleaded. You tell me how it sounds. In March of 2021, Nicholas initially pleaded not guilty to 2 federal charges of tampering with a consumer product, but later agreed to or was convinced to plead guilty to 1 count. Nicholas was sentenced in December of 2021 to 57 months in federal prison and was ordered to pay restitution in the amount of that $230,000. The court's chief judge, John D. Levy, had this to say when sentencing Nicholas, quote, "This sentence has to send a firm message that anyone who is going to engage in conduct like this will spend a significant time in federal prison, and to send a message of deterrence to Mr. Mitchell that society will not tolerate him blowing up like this," end quote. During the sentencing, Nicholas apologized and took responsibility for his actions in an emotional statement. Nicholas Mitchell is currently incarcerated at the United States Penitentiary in Beaumont, Texas. He is scheduled for release on December 21st, 2024. After his release, he will also serve 3 months of probation. At least according to his LinkedIn, Jeff Perkins remains the owner of Portland Pie Company. I don't know anything about him, but I'm glad the scandal didn't take him out. That seems unfair. And here's hoping that things have settled down for him and his company some in the 2 years since this incident. It looks like good pizza and a fun place. Check it out if you're ever in Maine and let me know if you like it. thanks for hanging out with me. I certainly hope things get better for not-so-Saint Nicholas Mitchell. And don't mess with your former employer. It just probably won't turn out for you. Next week, we're going to delve into an extremely mysterious case of a family that quite literally, but briefly, went completely off the rails together. And even though this Tromp family tromp took place in Australia, we're making a tart and perfect drink called the Japanese Slipper. It was invented in Australia, so there you go. As always, get the ingredients in the description box. Speaking of the description box, do you have a virtual happy hour coming up or a birthday party being hosted and celebrated from afar? Remember that I'm now doing live versions of Capers and Cocktails at any virtual event you can imagine. I've gotten some pretty good reviews too. It's really fun. Check out the details below. Third Tuesday is a break week, so I'll see you in 2 weeks. And remember, there are always alternatives to ruining people's love of the greatest food ever invented.